Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. It's the Salah whole period. Well, I mean, the Salah itself is just about done, but we're still in the mood very much. Talking of which, let's look at President Muhammadu Buhari's Salah message yesterday. Quite a number of streams flowing out of that, but if we were to just take two, for example, on the one hand, return our money, paraphrasing the president, return our money, our stolen money, if you want peace. No doubt, talking to looters. And we've seen a bit of that. People have been returning money. Some lawyers, interestingly, in court have been saying things like, my client has released a phenomenal sum. Therefore, he should be released. Just remember that. Then the other thing is, to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. Remember that, going back in the day, in the 60s, 67 sort of, that was General Gowon, at the time. But then President Muhammadu Buhari today says that it's entirely relevant. The unity of Nigeria is not negotiable, which, quite frankly, is contrary to something else, an article widely circulated that you might have seen, Professor Wole Soyinka saying that Nigeria's unity is negotiable. Anyhow, taking the latest one first, here we are. And my guest this morning is Achike Chude. Achike, as we know, is a public affairs analyst. Thanks again. And Ido Kabir, I believe. Is it Kabir or Fitri? Well, correct me. Which one? Is it Ido Kabir?
Well,
it's neither of the above. It's Eid Mubarak, But good morning and great to have you.
Yes, and
yes.
Good morning to our Muslim brothers and sisters.
Indeed, indeed. As I said, there's so many of them. We'll see how many of them we can touch. But looking for the moment at the one that return our money. Let's look at the war against corruption that's been ongoing. All sorts of opinions, commentaries, evaluations have been going on. But the president is saying that we will get our money back. He said that quite a number of times. And what would you say to the progress recorded in that direction, given news reports that we've seen in terms of this particular quest?
Well, there's been a movement in that direction, and I think that movement has yielded some positive results in terms of people that have been arrested, very high-ranking, Nigerians, but most significantly, military personnel, high-ranking military personnel, serving and retired. And I think that is the newness that has been brought into this. I doubt if any Nigerian leader, past and present, would have taken on the military establishment the way this government
has been able to.
Let us just say it as it is, and I think that is the truth. I do not think anybody would have.
Even if we were to say things like no sacred cows and that kind of a thing, it still might have been difficult, you think, if it had been anyone else?
Yeah, it would have been difficult. I mean, it has not been done, not in this manner. The reality is that Nigerians themselves are not exactly, satisfied so far because, like I said, it's an ongoing process. We want to begin to see these things translate into, prosecutions, and not just prosecution, but successful prosecution of some of these people. I think that is one thing that would, satisfy a lot of Nigerians.
But a lot of money, reportedly, when you look at news reports, a lot of money has or is in the process of being recovered, and astounding in two ways. One, astounding for the sums that we are hearing, and also, as you sort of alluded to, astounding for the personnel, the people that have been behind this. And there is some sort of speculation that this might just be the tip of the iceberg.
I had said when the entire system is overtaken by a particular bug, especially the bug of corruption, it becomes endemic. It eats at the fabric of society itself. Virtually every socio-political structure in this country is compromised. And when you have that, you can naturally allude that the people sitting on top of these institutions have also been compromised. And I have maintained in the past that if we are to have a thorough probe of corruption in this country, if we are to have a truly independent anti-corruption body, and you have the right kind of political leadership in this country, we're going to have a problem fighting corruption. We're having, of course, they will tell that corruption fights by, but the reason is that I don't know if out of the 774 or is it 76 local government councils in this country?
774.
If there is anybody, any of them that would not end up in jail, if there is any governor in this country that will not end up in jail from 1999 to today, regardless of political party affiliations, and perhaps some presidents.
So endemic has corruption
that
become.
is how endemic, because it's a systemic thing, and it got to a level where the unusual thing was for you not to soil your hands and get your hands dirty. Then you became a very strange person, and you became a threat to even those people whose business it is to continue to oil, corruption.
One day, no doubt psychologists are going to be able to tell us about this, because you're alluding to the norm we have in our societies, Nigerian societies, where let it be said, stealing was a shameful thing. If any kind of indication of stealing, dishonesty was brought against you, it was a very, very, very serious matter. Just the mere accusation. But now we are seeing money being returned. People, in other words, by implication, are saying that yes, okay, my hand was in the till, but you can see that I'm cooperating, and I'm willing to give it back.
Yes,
this is a new dynamic.
Yeah, you see,
this is a new dynamic.
Yeah, it is a new dynamic, and there are people that had canvassed for this a very long time ago. That the only way you can actually begin to get some of these monies recovered is to have a kind of a bargaining with some of these people, discuss with them and so on, and have some kind of a leniency program, more or less, for them.
As the only way to get our money back.
As the only way to get our monies back, and so on. And so what it means again is you're going to have a government that also realizes that it's an uphill task fighting corruption successfully, also compromising in terms of actually going beyond even recovering of the loot, and compromising in terms of what we do after we have recovered this money from these people. While and of course it also gives you an impression again once more, or reinforces that impression or perception we have really about the very powerful people in this society.
Indeed.
Even with regards to this corruption, also by virtue of their social status, being able to escape the kind of punishment that their actions.
But so we're beginning to see some inkling of another Buhari statement before coming into office about it's not going to be business as usual. I know there are people who are saying that, well, we can look at that statement, but let me bring in Tony, calling in from Ikorodu. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, sir. I really appreciate your discussion, but there's something I want to chip in there. Number one, the man is really fighting corruption. We all saw it, and we will give him kudos for that. But economically, it's not helping. Nigeria is suffering. People are suffering. He bought rice without planting a seed of rice. No more information for so many things. Nigerians are suffering. So, do you mean that if this man is fighting corruption, we should remain like that?
Okay, but Mr. Tony, do you think that it is fighting corruption that is responsible, no matter if it is even in part, for what you have just said?
That's what I'm even confused about it, because fighting corruption is a section of the economy. Okay. Making things to work. It's another section entirely.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now, there you go. Tony calling in from Ikorodu. Interesting perspective that, well, yes. It is seen that there is a fight against corruption, but it ends, in the same sentence says, but people are suffering. And this is my worry, the way that sentence was constructed.
It's the managers of the economy, the managers of our polity, have a duty, have a responsibility to build a society that works on all fronts. A society that is cohesive, a society that is united, a society that is prosperous, and so on. These are the challenges of governance, no doubt about that. This is the provision of the Nigerian Constitution, the welfare and security of the Nigerian people. You fight corruption it's important you do that because it undermines everything, every other thing in this country. We are where we are today because of corruption. If you talk about Boko Haram and the rest, corruption contributed indirectly to what has happened, what we are now, the security challenges we are having. Exactly. Kidnapping, corruption also has, a role to play in that and so many other things that are going on. But the reality is that, you tackle corruption in the course of running a government, while there are other things that are going on within the government. I think that goes. I think that is what Tony. I think that goes without saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Indeed, you're right. Probably is what Tony is saying. But I don't know. People are giving the impression, or some people might have taken the impression that nothing else is going on apart from fighting corruption. And it's not. But I don't want to lose Vincent. I beg your pardon. Okay. I have Vincent on the line from Alagbole. Good morning, Mr. Vincent.
Good morning, Mr. Eric.
Good morning.
Thank you. I want to comment on the program.
Sure.
And I want to say thank you for bringing a program like this to enlighten Nigeria. The anti-corruption work so far has been excellent. The security situation has come down. It wasn't what it was before this administration. And I always support this government. And some of our people, Nigerians, don't understand. Our major source of earning has been oil. And today, the price has come down with the pensions and every other problem that is happening. And people are saying we are suffering. We didn't plan well, that is why we are where we are today. So I want to say that people should be patient with this government and this administration, and that with time, things will be better. That's what I want to say.
Thank you very much for calling in. Tony is one of those who are counseling patients and, with the government for it to do its work. But we also know that there are those who are saying that, yeah, I'm patient, but, I'm going to die of hunger here, which is the point that, but you see, that thing that I just said, that I'm going to die of hunger here while I'm being patient, there's an issue with that, because there seems to be a suggestion in there, in that notion, in that idea, that this hunger, this so to speak, this lack of money is due to the anti-corruption war.
No, I do not think that it is due to that. I mean, the last caller talked about some of the happenings, in the recent past globally. The fall in the price of oil globally has had a very heavy toll on countries that were, mono-economic, foolishly so. Because we had no business, for a very long time running a single, a mono economy, an oil-dependent economy. We realized this a very long time ago.
Oh, okay. One moment, please. Reverend Dominic, good morning. Eid Mubarak.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, then.
Good morning.
It's been quite some time. Good morning.
Let's have the marketing here. In security, this government has done well. At least by this time last year, we think how many people will die tomorrow. So and something happened. But now that has been over. Anti-corruption, honestly, this government has done excellently well. But as you can see, most of us that support this government do not work in the road of let us free. They call us change. They mock us in every change. Change, Baba. Because I canvass and support this government in all fronts, even in the church. I support it, but now we have moved to let us fight and say that because people are hungry, people are losing jobs. We must do something about it. Number two, the lopsidedness of appointment is talking also. If you look at one section this morning, how the whole public chief come from the north, only one to come from the south. It's not good for this government. What makes Jonathan lose election, lost election last time? Because it was so bad. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. And I must apologize to our viewers for this Airtel line wahala. But please continue. We'll try and manage.
Okay. I'm saying that most of us that support this government, economic-wise, the common people are mocking at us. Rice has gone up, beans has gone up, pure water has gone up. So people are mocking on us. But I have no apology. Number two is appointment. The appointment is low prices. How do you use the whole service chief and they come from the north and want to come from the south? That is not good. If you must fight corruption, you must overcome the politics. But this government, I would do respect, is in the part of the politics on appointment. But the economy, zero.
All right.
Appointment, zero.
Okay.
The anti-corruption, 100%.
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Okay, stay with us, please. We'll take a quick break. Give this Airtel line a rest. You know, it's irritating. And then we'll come back when another guest has joined us. Stay with us, please. Okay, thank you very much for staying with us. And we've since been joined by Majid Jamil, you know, a journalist. There is a sense in which I always say nowadays, I put politician, comma, then journalist. The man is very, very close to political circles. Good morning, Majid.
Good morning. Yori. Good morning, Nigerians. I remain a journalist. Don't mind Yori. Maybe he's doing that in the spirit of the Eid festivities in town.
Okay, but a significant speech by the president yesterday, and we're looking at, you know, some of the main planks of it, so to speak. There is the war against corruption, where he says there's no going back, there's no slowing down, we will get our money back. And then the other thing we might look at also is the president saying that absolutely not negotiable, and that's, he was talking about the unity of Nigeria. By the time you arrived, people have made commentaries, and whereas some say that there's nothing wrong with they don't have issues with the anti-corruption drive, but that somehow the rest of society, they seem to be getting the crappy end of the stick in terms of there's nothing, there's no, I'm hungry, there's no food, business is dry and all of that. How say you? Do you understand where they're coming from? And do you think there is any link between the fight against corruption and the complaints people are making?
I'll start by saying that just yesterday I went to buy diesel. And before now it was, before the deregulation or re-regulation, it was 130, 140 per litre. But since petroleum prices moved up to 145, now it's been increasing. And just yesterday, diesel is now 200 naira per litre. That's the minimum you get it anywhere. You can go out there and check. Now, that is to show that we are all feeling it. I'm buying the diesel at 200. Yori is buying it at 200. TVC is buying it at 200 per litre. Then you see, it's a curve that we must all go through as a nation. We are getting to the very peak of the crisis. It's very painful though, but then I think Nigerians need to look at the flip side, that if the other administration had continued, where would we have been today? But then some Nigerians might not want to listen to that, but then we must also say that, fine, well, I listened to as I was coming in, I listened to the commentary of one of the callers, and I think Dominic said the president has scored very well in terms of security and corruption, but in the terms of management of the economy, it's below par.
Yes.
And I will also say that I think the advisors of Mr. President, those who are close to him, must let him know that today, Thursday, we don't need that holiday. For a country whose banking system is going through crisis, we are losing about 1 trillion naira today for this one day, for this public holiday. I mean, why declare? I'm a Muslim.
Yes.
I finished my salah yesterday, and I'm supposed to be at work today. I think it shows that Nigerians...
And then, you know, I introduced you as a journalist, but maybe not everybody knows that you're a financial journalist. So this is your terrain.
Yeah, it's my turf. So it's really, it's uncalled for. We don't need this holiday. for no reason.
Okay.
And also, in terms of reflecting the economy, the boards of those parastatals should be filled up so that these things will trickle down. And in terms of appointment, the president needs to balance up. I mean,
okay, that whole argument about people will bring a microscope to anybody, and I heard some commentaries.
Yeah.
Did you want to air something on that? And I'll come to Ajike in case he also has. Did you want to air a view on the matter of the composition of most of these boards? Because you hear that this section of the country has a greater number and that kind of a thing.
Fine, I wouldn't even mind if you put the whole of South in a particular place. I mean, people have been making some comparisons that when Jonathan was there, when he considered the board of NNPC, it was about 8 of them from the southern part of the country and just 1 from the north. And that if you look at Jonathan's composition now, Buhari's composition, you see that it's about, I think, 5 to the north and 4 to the south, which is a bit balanced. But then I don't see what business or what interest the chief of staff to the president is serving on the board of NNPC.
Okay.
Yes. Fine.
Okay, fine. I hear you. Now, Achike, did you want to also say something on this whole matter about the composition of these boards?
Well, some months back, I had maybe on a different, media platform, I had been asked the questions because then the creeping insinuation, had started. The insinuations had started about the president's appointments and the rest. It was lopsided. This was about 3 months after he came into power. And my position was that the president at that stage was making very critical appointments, critical to his personal welfare and security. Yeah. And so it was better for him to be very strategic about it and not be sentimental. Chief of Army Staff, the DG of the SSS, and all of those ones were critical. And I felt that with time, that the president should understand the dynamics and the nuances of the Nigerian nation, and the implication of giving a different perception to Nigerians about his intentions in terms of his appointments and so on. That I felt that with time the president was going to balance some of this.
But now more than a year on.
Exactly. So more than a year on, I have not been impressed and encouraged by his appointments. And when Dominic was talking, I think he scored him 0 on appointments. He has not done well on appointments at all. And then if you now want to talk about the integrity of some of these people and so on, you do some background checks. About these people, and on the basis of that, you try to begin to balance. We had more balance in Jonathan administration. I'm not just talking about the NNPC and so on, ministers and all the other parastatals and ministries and so on. Same thing with your Obasanjo administration and so on. You have to understand the nuances, and because perception, as they say, is very, very critical. Once people begin to have the wrong kind of perception, it's a problem for you. Yep. And this government does not need it. No government needs for the general populace in this country to have a negative perception. Yeah. Because you see, it's just like, for instance, let me just make this point. When you want to, for instance, you're fighting corruption and we're talking about, yes, people are suffering and the rest. The reality is that the government needs the people to fight the corruption successfully. You understand? So you must have broad-based consensus across all the geopolitical zones in this country. You will not get 100% support, but if you get 75% support from the people, it is critical to fighting. And so when you now have a situation where the popularity of government is being questioned every day, where the government no longer attracts, popular support because it is fighting corruption and has neglected those things that matter to the people, the general welfare of the people, the ability to feed their children.
I hear you. I hear you. But many wouldn't go as far as you have gone in saying a government that is losing support or popularity.
No. I'm not saying. I'm not saying it is losing support
or popularity.
But the reality is that
I understand. You've clarified that that's not what you're saying. So I just wanted to say that without prejudice to that fact, and especially as Achike has said that is not what he's saying about this particular administration. But Majid, without prejudice to that fact, let it stand on its own. Achike's opinion. I've also heard others say that, whereas I understand what's going on, but somebody said, no doubt being hyperbolic. I don't care if everybody comes in from Daura, put them there, but will they do the work that will benefit all of us?
Sure.
There are those, and as I said, being hyperbolic, What do you think?
Yeah, if you look at the ministerial appointment, for example, we have 36 states. 21 from the north. Supposedly, you expect that we'll have 21 Muslims and the rest, maybe 15, being Christians. But if you look at the composition, it's balanced. It's 18-18. The president has picked some Christians, even from the northern states, as ministers. So we have a cabinet that is balanced in terms of religious on religious grounds.
For example?
Yeah, for example. Now, you can say in that area, yes, done well. But then, going to the speech, that's Salah's speech, and I think as a prelude to that, when the president hosted the less privileged to dinner, to iftar, breaking of fast, 3 days before Salah, I mean, he gave a prelude to what he would say on Salah Day. And he said, anybody, no matter how highly placed, that attempts to stand in the way of this anti-corruption fight will be crushed. He sent a very clear signal. And yesterday again, in his Salah message, he said, if you have government money with you, it is in your own interest to return it. And if anybody is in doubt, I mean, he didn't say this.
Yes.
But then I mean, after that, I mean, some people started, Nigerians, they start, somebody said, quote and unquote, if you are in doubt, ask Koli Zametu. He's begging to return money now. Now, the sense in this, or rather I would say, quote and unquote, the common sense in this is that it is no more business as usual in the fight against corruption. And it's also a tacit support for what the EFCC is doing. And I've also had cause to discuss with some legal luminaries, some senior advocates of Nigeria, and some judge and retired judges of the Supreme Court, especially in the case of whether immunity can stand on the way of not prosecution now, investigation of looted funds. And they said dirty money is being traced from the office of the National Security Advisor, and wherever route that dirty money passes through, the EFCC, as an arm of government, will follow that money to its very, very end. And I'm talking about Ekiti State, for example, where the governor is involved, and he's been saying that his impunity is being impinged on by freezing his account. Exactly.
And we had this whole conversation about whether we have to separate investigation from. So and by the way, haven't we heard something about is Ekiti? Is there some issue? Any confirmation about anything going on in Ekiti?
There is as I was coming in, I'm from Ekiti State. As I was coming in, I think your correspondent should be there. And if you can get live feeds, I mean, it's going on that the state has been shut down. They are protesting. They want the governor to return the so-called looted funds, allegedly, and also for him to be removed. It's going on.
So there's a public protest going on as we speak.
The women, the civil society, coalition of Nigerian political parties, they call them CMPP, youth organizations, very, very massive, going on right now in Ado Ekiti. I think later
home state.
we'll get fit. So I think the battle is, and we should recall that during the Jonathan era, Dariye's account was frozen as a sitting governor. Nyako's account was frozen as a sitting governor because they traced dirty money to his account. So that of Ekiti can be an exception, but fine. The case is in court now. He has sort of dropped his immunity because he is not supposed to be sued, and he can sue, but then is in the governor of Ekiti State, against all odds, is in court now challenging the freezing of his account. And I think we have a September 30 date for the continuation of that. So without saying much, so that we won't be preempting what the court will say, but what the learned people are saying is that if that dirty money enters anywhere,
they can follow it.
Governor or a president, they can follow it there.
They can follow it there. Okay. Now, so the other thing that the president wanted to put out very, very clearly without ambiguity is that Nigeria must remain one. In other words, he doesn't seem to have much patience with the idea about let's negotiate our unity, our staying together. Give me your thoughts on that, Achike.
Circumstances determine things, and not just individual wishes. He wishes that the country will remain one, and I think a lot of Nigerians would want, would prefer a Nigeria that is strong, a Nigeria that is united, and a Nigeria that is working, because that is when you actually begin to take pride in your nation. And I believe that this country has serious, huge potentials as one united entity, the way it is presently constituted. But it must be an entity that is founded on justice,
equity,
and equity, and so on. And if the country today is unstable, if you have, certain things and elements threatening the fabric of this country, it arises from the fact that justice has not been done to the Nigerian people. And I'm not talking about any particular section now. I mean, a country that has so much, has been blessed so much, has huge potentials for progress and development, is wallowing in poverty, then it will tell you that a lot of people have been unjustly deprived of what should be their natural inheritance as citizens of that country. And in that sense, there are great acts of injustice against the Nigerian people by the Nigerian state. Now,
by the Nigerian state?
Yeah, by the Nigerian state and those who are in control of the Nigerian state. And I mean, we are talking of 50-something years of independence and so on. And that is what has been. I'm not looking at, of course, we know the fundamental issues and the rest. But the reality is this, that there is no place, there is no country that is united today that was united on the basis of non-negotiation. There has to be a negotiation somewhere along the line. People have to sit down and say, look, this is our objective, this is our end goal. This is what we want to achieve. How do we achieve it? Now, I think that if you ask a lot of ethnic groups today in this country what they want to do, I think they want to remain in this country, united, prosperous, progressing and so on.
And secure.
And secure. But it is the how, you're going to achieve that should be subject for negotiation, that should be subject for discussion. When Wole Soyinka made that statement, he didn't make that statement because he felt that, look, once you get to a negotiating table, everybody...
you mean the statement which is a direct opposite of the president?
Exactly.
That Nigeria's unity is negotiable.
It must be
but the president says it is not negotiable, and appealed to the militants to give Nigeria a chance.
Yes, you see,
give peace a chance.
The president needed to understand the standpoint Wole Soyinka was talking from. Maybe he did not. Maybe he thought Wole Soyinka was questioning the unity of the Nigerian state. He was not questioning it.
Okay, all right. Okay, I hear you. On this particular topic about the president saying that, in fact, I think one paper actually puts it, paraphrases it and says, to IPOB, give unity a chance. What do you think about it? The president saying, when head of state Gowon said it all those decades ago, it's still relevant today.
Very, very relevant. I mean, it's we are so into each other that it's in our best interest to stay together. But then, the presidency too must show genuine cause to, tell those doing the bombing, those militants, that they actually have their interest at heart. That bringing them to a negotiating table by discussing their grievances. Fine, because now they are...
sorry to interrupt you, because the matter you brought up, we have our own Akin Ogumola in Ekiti now, and he wants to give us a situation report. He's on the phone, actually. Good morning, Akin.
Good morning.
Please give us a situation report. What exactly is going on in Ekiti right now where you are based?
Yes, we woke up this morning in the state capital, Ado-Ekiti, to witness a mass rally organized principally by the All Progressive Congress, the party that the main opposition party. Part of the banners they carry have inscriptions that are pro the anti-graft policy of the federal government. And there are other placards that are very critical of the governor of the state, Mr. Ayodele Fayose, talking about the money in his account that has been frozen at
Well,
the Zenith Bank and all that. The protesters took off from the front of the government house, that's RGA over there, and moved straight around the station. I think marched for about 2 kilometers or so to Ichigo roundabout, where they addressed the crowd.
how large was the crowd? I mean, give me an assessment. We will be seeing pictures very, very shortly, but since right now we don't have those pictures, what's your assessment of, was it pockets or was it quite a sizable number?
The crowd is quite sizable because from the vantage position, at the point I climbed, I went upstairs to one of the buildings near the road, and it stretches more than about 500 meters. A crowd that stretches about 500 meters. So, and it's quite sizable from my own estimation.
Have you heard any reaction from government functionaries yet in Ekiti? Maybe the governor or anybody?
Yes, one of the spokesmen of the government, I'm talking of Mr. Nero Nayika, we have actually interviewed him because he came to our office immediately when the routers left the street. He came to respond to say that this time tomorrow we'll witness a counter rally from their own supporters too.
Okay then. Thank you very much for the moment. We'll keep an eye on it and we'll talk with you again. Thank you very much for giving us this update. So, all right. So there we have it. People protesting against graft in Ekiti, no doubt occasioned by what has happened there in the recent week or so. Again, to apologize for the bad quality of that line. You know all about it by now. Sorry,
yes.
I interrupted you.
To quickly add to that, I mean, I'm from that state. I'll be getting a lot of calls. They are saying that workers went on strike about a month ago, and the governor addressed them. He said he doesn't even have a dime, that he can even sell himself. I mean, if they sell him, if he sells himself or sells his property, he doesn't have.
The governor was even saying that he himself has not got any salary
yet,
and that he himself was on strike.
That is it. He went on a solidarity strike.
Yes.
2 weeks after, they found 1.2 billion in his account, and now from the affidavit deposed to by the EFCC, which is now public document, I mean, we've discovered that he has about 6 houses, and the governor has been collecting kickbacks, I mean, traced to him from contractors that he awarded their contracts to.
That much you are saying as a journalist.
It is, of course, it is an open fact. I mean, it was signed. It was a statement made on oath by the EFCC, so it's everywhere. As a journalist, of course, I can say that.
Yes, that's all I just wanted to establish. That this is not just your opinion.
It's not the position of a TVC. It's what is in the air, and
it's a signed affidavit.
I think it's even in today's papers and yesterday's. I mean, it's been running. It's a public document.
No, when you went out, when you said
on oath,
for it to be said that the governor is, actually taking kickbacks.
Yes.
I just wanted to establish that this is not what the people refer to as aheso.
It is deposed to in the affidavit signed on oath by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
Achike.
Well, the only thing I would say is that, deposed on oath by the EFCC, so it doesn't make it true. Clearly, it doesn't make it true because the court has to take a position on that, and it is the court's position ultimately.
No doubt, no doubt.
But
at least we're talking about the seriousness of the statement.
But it's also very important. Some of the things he talked about. The FCC will definitely have to prove their case, and I don't want to think that they have gone on a frivolous chase.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. What you're saying, what you're saying, even goes without saying.
Oh, definitely.
But what we're saying is that the EFCC felt secure enough to put this down in writing, and for it to be a statement, so it's signed, it's notarized, or whatever other legal terminology all these laws. That in other words, and for all of that, it still goes to where you said that we got to have a court pronounce upon it.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it just shows that it's not a casual or careless statement.
And again, it also goes to tell you that the anti-corruption war has taken a life of its own.
You mean what?
The anti-corruption war has taken a life of its own.
Let me hear from Rotimi calling in from K2. Good morning, Rotimi. Rotimi, we're waiting for you. Good morning.
Yes, how are you, sir?
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. Please, I don't want to comment on that Reverend Dominic complaint about lopsidedness of the president's appointment.
Okay, what's your comment?
I don't really believe in all this balancing. We are here today because we have not been putting round peg in round table. Well, if we want to really succeed, we need to look for the best hands. If the best hands are from the north, fine. If they are from the south, fine. When people are complaining, we are talking of national this thing, but it's not working. Let us look for the best so that the best can be given to this country. The president is doing the best.
Okay.
So, knowing by his antecedent when he was doing this, he will never take sides. I'm not a politician, but I watch all what people are discussing on this issue. We should always fight for the best. Let anybody that can do it be put there. And that is all.
All right.
To discourage people from saying it's lopsided, I know. If we have somebody that is good from the south, put him there. If it's a Yoruba person, put him there. If it's a South man, as far as he can deliver, that is what we want.
Okay, Rotimi, I hear you. Thank you very much. But there still is a constitutional requirement that there must be balance. Whereas we understand what you say.
Exactly.
Federal character must be reflected, as you must well know, and it's not a matter of somebody being nice. It's what the Constitution demands. Stipulates.
And you see, one will not fault Rotimi's motivation. I mean, I think he's being motivated by patriotic sentiment. Let us do the right thing, regardless of whoever it is that will do it, where it's from.
It's a common sentiment, but as we pointed out, there's a constitutional requirement.
It's important
and the president cannot be in breach of the Constitution. We don't need to spend too much time on that.
Politically correct.
Yes. Let's not spend too much time on that because you've said it right. You know where Rotimi is coming from, but Rotimi also probably knows, if he forgot, he needs to be reminded that there is still the law to comply with, and federal character must indeed be reflected. I myself cited the example being hyperbolic, that some people had said that let everybody come from Daura village. I don't care. So far as they all can do the job. Actually, you can't go that way. But people are saying that I think what people are really saying, and this is my personal guess, may be wrong, what people are actually saying is that there must be capability in those that are appointed to do that for which they are appointed, as opposed to just warming a bench or warming a seat. I'm being told about someone else. Mr. Abolore, calling in from Iloni. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you today, sir?
Go right ahead, please. We're very fine, thank you.
Yeah, I'm in support of the header caller concern whosoever is in charge of the affairs of our administration in Nigeria. So far, they are going to give us the best, because that's the most important thing that we need at this critical period in Nigeria. Let's see. Economy is totally down in Nigeria, not only in Kwara. Workers are unable to get their hand-paid salary. Even the salary is not even enough for them to take good care of their family. And these people are getting huge amount of money from federal allocation, diverting the money into their personal pockets. At least we have to give the kudos to President Muhammadu Buhari for doing the best job for us in this country. In this present critical period, we can see a president who is ready for the masses, not for his own selfish or personal interest. Not like previous. In America, Obama is not, the father is not from America, the father is from Kenya. We can see what is happening in other countries also. But please, we need the best of people who are going to give us the best in this country. Let us allow this man to do the job for us. Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abolore. No doubt that's what must be on the president's and the presidency's mind as well when they come, because you can find the best in everywhere in Nigeria. I don't think anybody's going to say that there are certain areas where you can't find
the best, and then you don't.
And then you can't find the best in one particular
area. You can't
area.
make that argument.
No, you can't. So they have to go through the extra hassle, if that is what it is, to look for the best in every corner and satisfy the constitutional requirements, and if you want, also political. End of story, really, in that regard. But the passion is understandable, because why this is coming up is that maybe there might have been people in the past who people might have judged them to be little more than bench warmers, and that has led to the frustration. Whereas the truth might be that perhaps for whatever reason, the best from that particular area was not chosen, whereupon it now looks as if, why don't we cut out this area altogether and concentrate on this area? No, it's not going to, it can't work like that. But people seem to think that we're on track, but they would want it to be more even in terms of the mix. People have talked about the economy. In fact, there are a lot of complaints about the way the economy is run. I've seen articles on how not to run an economy by economic experts and journalists.
Great countries of the world, I mean, passes through this kind of but it's not limited to Nigeria.
The whole link one example that is oftentimes cited and has been so for the past 4 years or so. If you were to look at that society and this society,
the point I'm actually making is, we should give kudos to this phenomenon called Dangote.
Okay.
Because in 2 years, by 2019, Nigeria will be exporting oil. The size of the Dangote refinery that is coming up is like an empire. It's bigger than the whole of Victoria Island put together. And
we'll be exporting refined oil.
We'll be exporting refined oil because it's going to be the second largest refinery in the world after Petrobras of Brazil, giving us 650,000 barrels per day. And what this means is that they will be tapping from Aje oil field in Lagos, so there is no pipeline to bust, and it will be distributing its own petroleum products via submarine pipelines.
So there's a lot of work in the future.
And also, in addition, it's giving us
we've run out of time.
12,000 megawatts of electricity. So the whole of Lagos will be taking off the national grid. If anybody wants to continue to pump pipelines they have between now and the next 2 years, it will be meaningless.
Okay. Closing thoughts, because we've completely run out of time, or comments, Achike.
Well, why we allow the private sector to do those things that they need to do, the government must always remember that it has a duty, a responsibility to the people to also not remove their hands completely from running the economy. Because, I mean, that has been the argument all of this while. I do not agree that government does not have any business in business. Government has a duty and a responsibility given to it by the Constitution.
Of regulation.
Exactly. So government must be ever present.
Okay.
And,
I'm afraid we've run out of time completely, but thanks as always for your insight into these matters, Ajike Chude, public affairs analyst, and indeed thanks to our brother. Well, he's our brother too. Ajike is our brother too. Majid Jamiu, well, how did I phrase it? Capitalist and journalist.
Journalist.
Okay, journalist. Thank you, Majid. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with a fresh edition of the program. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.